It is now over 1 week since the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASUU, embarked on another industrial action, indefinite as it might be, ostensibly to press home their demands for the implementation of the agreement the union reached with the federal government almost a decade ago on the improvement of the standards of education in Nigeria and, of course, for a better condition of service for the lecturers. Almost 4 years in the saddle, and with another general elections around the corner, the ruling All Progressives Congress continued to grapple with issues of internal party democracy as she tries to steady the boat, which is being rocked by shock waves from the last primaries it conducted across the nation. These are some of the topical issues that have engaged stakeholders in the Nigerian project, as it were. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I am Charles Ibe. Universities all over Nigeria are shut and students are at home. To worsen the situation is the fact that both ASUU and the government are far from reaching an agreement to end this ugly trend that has bedeviled the country for a long time now. While ASUU thinks its decision to embark on a strike is to salvage the education sector from total collapse, the students, who should be the primary beneficiaries of a robust and vibrant education system, are ironically affected by the actions of ASUU. The federal government, on the other hand, seems at this point to lack the capacity to resolve this looming crisis. If their silence on the strike matter is a mind game, as alleged by some ASUU officials, or an act of insensitivity to the plight of Nigerian students, this is yet to be seen. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, recently gave the federal government an ultimatum to seek an amicable resolution of the issues with ASUU or face a nationwide protest from the students across the country.
We have called on government, issuing a 7-day ultimatum, that they should meet up with their own part of the bargain so that our lecturers can come back to the classroom. But with a caveat that if this is met up with by the federal government, without those aspects that affect students, we will not be happy. ASUU should do everything possible to put at the front burner the interest of the students, who are also their children. I say that without fear or favor, that they are the ones, the students are the ones that bear the brunt. That, you know, like they do say, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers. So we expect them to do the needful and always deem it fit to consult us and protect our interest, even above theirs, because we are the future leaders of this country.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities, amongst other demands, wants the federal government to increase funding to nation's universities. They are demanding a whopping 20% for education from the country's annual budget. But instead of getting a raise, budgetary allocation to education is dwindling, with a meager 7% allotted to the sector this year from 12% and 11% allotted in 2014 and 2015 respectively. Is ASUU then right to embark on this industrial action? Previous administrations have made several promises to the body to address their grievances, and all these promises, according to the National President of the Union, Professor Abiodun Ogunyemi, are deceitful and a charade. He lamented that the federal government had over the years been playing with the intelligence of the union, stressing that the strike is total.
What government ought to have done was to release 220 billion each year. So when we asked for that, government said, well, to prove that we have not abandoned that MOU, we will release 20 billion as a mark of commitment. And that was to be done between September and October last year. So if it's coming, if we are discussing it in 2018 November, it is coming too late. Now government has an arrear of 1.1 trillion. And government is saying we are releasing 20 billion. It is meaningless. For us, government should be talking about the report that we submitted last year. There was a joint committee of government that said after government will have expressed its commitment with 20 billion, a 7-person committee was set up, go and look into other ways of financing the balance of 1.3 trillion, which was 1.1 trillion. So by now, we should be talking of 1.1 trillion.
As ASUU and the Students' Union blow hot, the silence of the government has become worrisome, considering the fact that elections are around the corner. And as it is customary in Nigerian polity, winning elections is all that matters to politicians at times like this. Well, does this imply that students in our tertiary institutions will have to stay at home till after the 2019 general elections? If that could be predictably the case, considering the inaction of government, what implication will this have on the students, their parents, and the future of education for the country? For how long will the country have to deal with the issue of persistent strike in our education sector? It is quite unfortunate. Well, let's take this quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll take a look at some political issues.
So my take on this ASUU strike is that these people are the one imparting the knowledge into our potential leaders of tomorrow. And as such, the government is to see to their plights. Having a round table, I think, is the most important thing. Coming to a consensus that is to the point that the teacher or the lecturers, the staff union are not affected negatively, the government is not also affected negatively. Now, meeting to their needs is very, very important so that they go back to their classrooms, they go back to their responsibilities to see how they train these leaders of tomorrow, because by the time we are able to have a sound education system in Nigeria, I think the future is secured.
I have a couple of friends in government university and they experienced ASUU strike, especially Benue State University. So I have a friend there, so he was going to his 300 level, he was actually in 200 level before the ASUU strike clashed into, and he stayed at home for like a month. That month he stayed at home, he would have been in his 300 level. Due to the ASUU strike and everything, he was at home for like 5 months or so, going to a year safe, and he was still at home, still 200 level. So those days he stayed at home, he would have been in his 200 level because he just have two semesters.
I did not see anything wrong with ASUU going on strike if what they are asking the federal government is legal. The late President Umaru Yar'Adua made so many promises before his death, and government is continuous. If former President Yar'Adua made those promises, it is expected of whoever that took over from him to continue from where the late president
begin to outline the widest issues, why these issues may continue in this country. It is as a result of the fact that most of these people who are even the heads of parastatals and agencies, most of their children are not even schooling in this country. If you go to their history, their children are out there in abroad, they school in private universities and all of that. So they don't care, they give a damn to it. And that has brought a lot of degradation. And even as the impact is now, for students to go out of school just for maybe 2-3 days, economically, it has gone a long way to affect the structural arrangement of our well-being as a nation.
To see what happened in National Assembly, taking money from education budget to fund the election, we think it's misplacement of priority. And it's unfortunate. The least place that money should be taken away to fund education, to fund the election is education and health. It means whatever it is they are doing there is just selfishness. Because they are the ones that want to benefit from the election. They feel they can mop up resources from everywhere, even where it is not supposed to be. Just a few days ago, we heard that even the agreement reached with federal government to fund education with 220 billion every year. They have not even funded the education sector, meeting with those agreements with up to 200 million since that agreement was reached. And as I speak to you now, 2018, the money is about 1.3 trillion naira, and not even 200 billion has been spent on the educational sector. And yet, you have a National Assembly that is taking money away that is meant for the same educational sector to fund the election. It is unfortunate. It is condemnable. It is barbaric. It is shameful.
Welcome back. It is no longer news that all is not well in the ranks of the ruling All Progressive Congress, as members who are aggrieved over the conduct and the outcome of the primary elections conducted to elect the party's flag bearers across board for the upcoming 2019 general elections have continued to rock the boat. Prominent among the agitators includes 3 governors who have made it no secret that they have no love lost for the national chairman of the party, Comrade Adams Oshomole. With war of words and show of might and political sagacity, more at play. The battleground now appears to have shifted naturally to the law courts, whose timely intervention just might make or mar the fate and political ambitions of some of the key actors. The whole crisis within the ruling party boils down to the issues with internal party democracy, which appears to be the bane of political parties in Nigeria, and which also have a lot of implications on the nation's nascent democracy. Our correspondent Idoko Emmanuel compiled a report on this issue. Let's see.
As the 2019 general elections draws nearer, political parties in Nigeria have become a theater of intrigues. With the recently concluded primaries comes accusations and counter-accusations as to who gets what and why. The ruling All Progressives Congress have churned out a very good number of disgruntled members who have accused the party of imposing candidates and handpicking those who the party executives prefer to run for elective offices.
The truth of the matter is that we had a lot of issues in APC all over the country. You know, we had the primaries for the state houses of assembly and the National Assembly, both the lower house and the Senate, primaries. There were issues. But I would like to say, well, to the glory of God, in most of the states, we've been able to resolve the issues and, appeal and appease, these disenfranchised, aspirants.
Internal party democracy seems to be lacking in most political parties, especially in the states, where states governors hold sway as lords, dictating to everybody and using state power and resources to hold the entire party machinery to ransom, including the National Secretariat.
The governors have become too powerful. Even the presidents that we've been having in Nigeria are afraid of the governors. I don't know how it became that way. Even now, talking about the president now, the president too has so much power that even the party hierarchy is scared of the president. It's not supposed to be that way. The party gives birth to the governors. So the party should be more powerful than the governor.
As Nigerians prepare to go to the polls come 2019, it is pertinent that the political class and parties address any bad blood that must have been generated in the course of selecting candidates to ease the tensions and check the possibility of total breakdown of law and order.
The underlying questions beneath all the issues with internal party democracy, using the ruling party as a case study, is the ultimate repercussion of lack of internal cohesion within a political party, especially so close to a crucial elections. While some pundits have predicted an implosion within the ruling party, chieftains of the party dismiss the likelihood with a wave of a hand.
Friction in politics is part of the game in politics. People have to disagree. At the higher level, at the lower level, in everywhere you can talk about, there is disagreement. That's politics as usual. But what the party is doing right now, just like most of us have advocated, is to continue to engage people at the dialogue level from unit to ward level. To tell people that the issues at hand, which are the issues of internal democracy issues coming up, they cannot deter the progress already made by this government.
This is internal crisis. It does not change anything. That is democracy. There is no way you can play a politics thinking that your house will remain intact 100%. Definitely sure somebody must go and some people must come in.
What else can I say? We wait and see. And while we wait, here are some key things we should always want to remind every Nigerian aged 18 and above. Well, need I say more? Of course I will, and that is be patriotic. Now on the final note,
I'm on a mental case. Start to the grace. Now who they rock in this place?
the federal government recently sounded a really disturbing alarm when it estimated that about 20 or 30% of Nigeria's estimated 200 million population suffer from mental disorder. Did I hear an exclamation? And put it in proper perspective, in a layman's language, it means that about 60 million Nigerians are mad. Mad, that's the word. This was disclosed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Abdulaziz Abdullahi, at the Mental Health Action Committee and Stakeholders Workshop held recently in Abuja, where he lamented the inadequacy of the attention that mental health disorder gets in the country and advocated for better awareness. Now, mental disorders comes in different presentations, sometimes characterized by a combination of abnormal thoughts, perceptions, and emotional displays. But there are also some more subtle forms of mental disorders, which includes depression, bipolar affective disorder, and the likes, which infers that actually many Nigerians are suffering and smiling.
Mixed reactions have continued to tread the recent revelation from the Federal Ministry of Health that over 60 million Nigerians are suffering from mental disorder. This report is coming at a time when Nigerians are grappling with harsh economic realities, insecurity, and heightened political tensions.
The statistics is even low, if you must ask me. What do you think about somebody who goes the whole day without eating anything? You can go mad. I'm doing a short work before. They send me out of the job. No money again in my hands. I have a family of 5 or 6. The whole children are back to the house. Nobody going to school again. You understand? So thinking alone will run me mad. So the number is low. So the government should go back, go to the drawing board and do something about the situation in the country right now. You understand? Look at labor struggling for 30,000. What is 30,000? And government are not doing anything about it. You go to abroad, you go to Dubai, you go anywhere, you go come up and down, you eat, you do whatever you want to do. You take 5 million to organize party. And the man is asking for 30,000, he refuses to give to him. So how can he not go mad? In fact, the time is going to be when people jump into the river, into lagoon, die more on a daily basis. But I pray that they do something fast. Otherwise, that they are safe homes, we may come and meet them there.
In Nigeria, the only people we feel that they are mad are the people walking naked on the streets. But if you go to psychology, when we are at school, psychology made us to know that there are 7 steps. There are 7 steps of madness. But the only one we know is those people that are walking naked on the streets and picking something on dustbins. But it's far much more better than that. Somebody who knows that he's drunk and is driving, is that not madness? situation at times can make somebody to start having mental problem. Some people, maybe you are working and you have a lot of children, you have like 6 kids, and they drive you from your work, and you come back, you don't even have any, your bank account, you are zero. So you don't have anything on you. That alone can make somebody to go crazy. That alone can make somebody to start developing mental illness. So madness, if that number is even small, that number, it should be more than that.
A mental illness is a disease that causes mild to severe disturbances in thought and behavior, resulting in an inability to cope with life's ordinary demands and routines. There are more than 200 classified forms of mental illnesses. Some of the more common disorders are depression, bipolar disorder, dementia, schizophrenia, and anxiety disorders. Symptoms may include changes in mood, personality, personal habits, and social withdrawal. Does this literal definition of mental disorder add credibility to this report?
What they said in the statistics is true. People are so much frustrated that they cannot even afford to eat 1 square meal in a day. Of which there's somebody that is hungry, you know that the person is already hungry. See, for example, you see the young boy of 10, 11, 15 years smoking, and that's brought the problem to the society that we are now.
Well, personally, I've not read the news, but if our federal government can say such a thing, I believe maybe they are right, because the level of poverty can lead to madness, actually. So I believe they don't have any solution to that. If a federal government can say such a thing, it's quite unfortunate that we are living in such a society, you know, but how I wish they think before they talk, and how I wish they think before they act. A federal government telling you that almost 60% of their population is mad. If I'm the man, if I'm in charge, I will resign, because I can't lead mad people.
God can turn things around for the good of his families. So I didn't really appreciate what the federal government said.
Nigerians, no doubt, are having a really hard times these days. However, it is pertinent to note that mental disorders are classified, while the number of insane people who have outrightly gone mad can be determined. It is difficult to take stock of those suffering from other mental disorders because they appear to look normal.
So, when more people begin to trek from Damaturu to Abuja, or start climbing telephone masts and power supply installations, for whatever reason, everyone, not just the government, needs to have a rethink about the social welfare system, corporate social responsibility, and our responsibilities as our brother's keeper. Food for thought. That's Nigeria Today. See you again. I am Charles Ibe.